every time we measure the success of our campaigns, we stick to the 3 R's rule, which is a very common ABM framework. And the 3 R's are obviously revenue, which is the ultimate goal, but then also relationship and reputation.
Hi, and welcome to CNO Convo. Today we have with us Carlota Feliu, Head of Marketing at HP. Hi, Carlota. Happy to have you with us.
Hi, Michal. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, sure. So I would love to start maybe before we kind of like have a deep dive into the episode. Maybe you can share a bit about your background and what drew you into working in marketing.
Yeah. So I've been doing marketing for the last, I keep always saying 15 years, but I think years are passing. Probably now it's more. But yeah, I mean, I started very early. I studied journalism, but I just practiced a little bit of journalism while studying. Very quickly, I moved into first corporate comms and then marketing, which is like a little bit of a natural path there. So I always find that there are like these two kinds of marketers, the ones that are coming from more like an economics background or business administration background, or the ones coming more from the comms side of it. I come from the comms side of it, but then curiously, I moved very quickly to the business and economic side of marketing, no? Because as we will discuss further, so I've been always very into revenue generation kind of marketing roles, very close to the sales team. I started first in B2C, but it was just a couple of years of experience. And then I quickly moved into B2B, mostly because I've always been very interested in technology. And I was very attracted by companies doing technology, and then all my B2B experience, in fact, it's been always in tech companies, no? And now I'm at HP, and then also because of that background being in technology, and also because I've been working previously in some startups, but also in industrial environment, and that combination of having the startup background plus have been working in industrial environments and very closely to technology and innovation was very attractive for HP. And then I I started first in the 3D printing business at HP, which is in fact one of the most innovative areas, new businesses in the company. And some months ago, I moved into the industrial print business, which is where I'm working now.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing all of that. So probably it's very interesting working in such a huge organization like HP, and you do so many different things and you have so much different products and lines and probably ICPs and personas, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And prior to this, like for this episode recording, we talked a bit about ABM and demand generation. And you shared that you have like a specific perspective around the fact that it has quite a fine line between account-based marketing and demand gen. And I would love to hear from your perspective, what are the differentiation? Where are the overlapping?
So I would say that, I mean, in my perspective, and again, so there are hundreds of frameworks and hundreds of ways that a marketer applies this combo ABM demand gen. But in my perspective, at the end, demand gen is very similar to one-to-many ABM, no? And especially because nowadays, most of the B2B companies are very targeted. We have the tools to be very targeted and to address the companies that we know that are our target. So most probably, most of us, what we are doing is like a one-to-many ABM, not just broad demand gen, not just segment-based demand gen. And then at the end, so that's the way that, for example, the way I've been applying it at HP and also in my previous experience, no? So I have the one-to-many ABM, which again is like the traditional demand gen, where we try to build like a more like an always-on engine. So this is our growth machine, our engine that is very well oiled and ensures us that we have like an evergreen source of new leads and that we are feeding the funnel with this engine. And then we combine this with more, let's say, strategic or focused one to few ABM campaigns, I would say, not that much in strategy. These are more specific campaigns in where we try to address again a more specific audience with an ad hoc message, ad hoc campaign, etc., etc. So that's to me the way to combine them, at least from my experience and the way we are doing it. So we have the one to many as the evergreen, as the always on engine, and then we use the one to few for addressing specific needs. I've not been doing one to one because of the type of business I've been operating, but like in that case that you are also targeting on one-to-one basis. So yes, at the end it's like the typical pyramid, no, of ABM, where you have the basis with your one-to-many, the one-to-few, and the one-to-one.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. I want to touch on another topic around marketing and go to market, right?
Hmm.
So, and especially when it comes to ABM. Sorry. So, I want to touch a very specific point, which is also related to ABM, and it's the combination between marketing and go to market strategies. So, I think that we've all noticed that CMO or marketing leadership in general is going more and more into the direction of being revenue focused.
Hmm.
And I would love to hear from your perspective. Does the ABM, is it a shared asset between marketing and sales, or would you mind sharing a bit more perspective around how is
Yeah,
it then combined in the organization, especially when
yeah,
everything is now so focused on revenue?
yeah. I think that definitely ABM and I mean not ABM per se, because ABM is something that it exists from many years ago. But the fact that now ABM is becoming more trendy and more a common thing, I think it helped to show the marketers or to make the marketers realize that the line between marketing and sales is it can be more blurrier than it is, and it's fine because sometimes in marketing we have this aversion to get very close into sales, no, because we put the hard line and say no, that's sales field, that's marketing field, and no, and we don't want to get into there. But with ABM, this line again, sometimes you need to you cross it in the both ways, and it's fine because at the end, yeah, I mean we need to work interlocked with sales if we want to deliver on the results. So thanks to, again, I think that ABM influenced on the fact that now there is also this trend, or there is now this conception that marketing being more close to the revenue generation and being a go-to-market motion, which at the end it puts us more at the center of the growth, no, and it puts marketing more than, I mean, it avoids being marketing being seen as a cost center, but being understood as a growth lever, which is what it needs to be, because at the end we have no the power of influencing growth for the company. So that's where we need to sit in the go-to-market strategy, being a growth lever and working very closely and interlock with all the other go-to-market functions, not just sales, but also if we have resellers. So everybody that is contributing to the revenue generation, and marketing having that seat on the table. So as I said, so I think it was hardly influenced by ABM, but also, I mean, because there's now a lot of talk about that. And I was the other way. I was hearing a very interesting podcast. Sorry, I don't remember the name of the guy who was talking, but there are plenty of discussions about that on how one of the things that we all suffer as marketeers is the fact that everybody knows about marketing, no, and we need to get used to everybody giving us advice and telling us how to do our
Everyone
job.
has an opinion.
Exactly.
Everyone has an opinion. Yeah.
Exactly. But at the end, I think we have the role that we need to have as well as marketers is how do we influence that opinion? I mean, we need to live with that, and this is not going to change. This is always going to happen, and it's part of our job and our role. No, all the jobs and all the positions have their pros and their cons. This may be one of the cons, depending on how you take it. No, if you get frustrated about that, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to take it in a different way and use it to influence, and use it to influence this go-to-market strategy and make sure that marketing keeps its seat on the table and it's part of the growth strategy of the overall company.
So you're touching a very relevant and crucial point, I think, also for our audience, for the listeners. Do you have any tips to share on how can marketeers ensure that they get the seat when GTM is discussed?
Yeah. So I don't have the magic formula. I can just share from my
Well,
experience what I
there is
think
no
that can
secret
work.
recipe.
Exactly,
Yeah.
probably not. So I would say one of the first thing is to have a deep understanding of the go-to-market motion and of the customer. From also, so from a revenue creation standpoint, so what does it make for a customer to become a customer? So how is this sales cycle? How what are all the triggers, all the steps, everything that needs to happen for this to become a one deal? So go very in depth there, go with your sales team and visit customers and understand all these motions, because then is when you can actually identify the new opportunities for marketing to influence better that journey, no? So
Mhm.
and don't use only research and statistics. Go there and talk directly to customers, because it's when you are gonna understand, no, the tips and the insights, and the color of what is actually moving that customer. And yeah, and don't be afraid of, because at the end, this is what sales has, no, this closeness to the customer, this deep understanding of the customer. So as a marketer, we need to go there as well, because again, so this is when we will be able to understand how we can influence the funnel creation, but not just the funnel creation, also the funnel migration, and at the end, the revenue impact.
Yeah, so just like to recap, you're saying that actually marketing and sales should be very close together, and marketing should also speak with customer very frequently. So not just
Yes,
relying, for example, on functions like product marketing, which are the voice of the customer, but actually going into sales conversation, going on events,
of course.
etc.
Of course. And especially if you are doing AVM strategies, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm a big ABM fan, just for you to know. You are talking with an ABM geek, so I'm
Great.
on your side with that.
Great.
Let's talk a bit about the alignment that
Hmm.
is needed between marketing and sales. So I've noticed that there's a shift where, there are revenue groups where marketing and sales are working together. But for most organizations, it's still very siloed, meaning you have marketing as a function, you have sales as a function, and then you need to create some type of alignment. For many organizations, it is a challenge. From your
Hmm.
experience, do you have any advice to share, some collaboration that's truly worked and you can say, okay, this is how we handled the challenge and it went great, etc. I would love to hear
Hmm.
that.
So, I mean, there are many aspects, but I would say that there is one thing that it helped me and us in general, my team and in my company. It's to have very frequent and regular funnel calls with sales, and not just sales categories, all the go-to-market motion. So, because at the end, this is like our our joint metric, no, our joint, the way we are together measuring how we are impacting the business. It's the funnel. So if we are all on the same page, marketing included, on understanding and having this regular bi-weekly or weekly meeting with sales leaders, with even the channel, if you are in a channel motion, so with whoever is responsible of feeding, nurturing, and closing that funnel, in where we review what's the status, what are the gaps, where do we have opportunities, where do we have areas of focus, and then together design the joint strategies that will help us to improve that funnel. So that, to me, it's been a tool that had helped me a lot with the alignment, because that means that we are speaking the same language, that we are working towards the same goal, that we are being measured by the same metrics. At the end, there are differences in the way we are measured, obviously, but our North Star metric is the same one. So we have our metrics aligned to that North Star metric, which is obviously the revenue creation, but then all the funnel metrics that will lead us to this revenue creation. And that's, to me, one of the critical components. And then the other one, I would say, and again, especially in an AVM motion, is to understand that the sales, it's like an extension of our marketing channel. So, in some way, I mean, obviously it's different, and but at the end, we, through sales, we can also send our marketing message, and we need to send our marketing message through sales. So there is an enablement work there, and equipping sales, training sales, educating sales, and now I'm talking more like the field sales, no? So the ones that are in direct touch with the customers, and there is a lot of opportunity for marketing to influence that field sales motion, that team that is in direct contact with the customer, to make sure that whatever gets from there, it's deeply aligned with the marketing message and in deep connection with the marketing message, and then that we close the cycle, so that we are not just aligning at the leadership level, no, in defining a strategy, the metrics, etc., but that we bring down this alignment to the field sales reps and the field marketing people that it's on the ground working and delivering the message to the customer.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think that for that, you also need to create a shared vision, right? So people needs to understand the why
Oh, yeah,
behind these
yeah,
decisions and why things are being done in that way.
yeah.
I would love to touch another point. We talked a bit about success and measurement. So I would love to know from your perspective, how do you define and measure success for marketeers, especially now when we share almost the same KPIs and metrics as sales? So how do you still, keep
Yeah,
marketing in this measurement, or do you
yeah,
have any
yeah.
tips?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that is one thing, and I'm gonna give credit to my boss on this one because she's been the one that is been keeping us very aligned and focused on making sure that every time we measure the success of our campaigns, we stick to the three R's rule, which is a very common ABM framework. Because and the three R's are obviously revenue, which is the ultimate goal, but then also relationship and reputation. And that's key because that way we make sure that, and we do that for every single type of activity, even though we think that is a very revenue generation activity or relationship activity. By having the reputation are always there, this helps us to make sure that we are using every single campaign, every single strategy to make sure that while we are focusing on drive revenue, we are focusing on drive relationship, we always keep on building our reputation. And that means the brand component, no, as well, no, the messaging, the positioning, and we don't forget about this critical piece because this is gonna help us in the long term, no? So sometimes we may be too focused, and especially that's one of the risks that I've seen with ABM strategies and aligning so much to the sales motion, that at the end sales is very short term minded in terms of the strategy, no, because at the end they are focused on closing the quarter and deliver on the quarter numbers. But then we as marketers, we have the key role of making sure that yes, whilst we are supporting this short term target, we keep an eye and we keep on building on all the fundamentals that will help us in the long term. And that's the reputation side of things. And sometimes as well, the relationship side of things, no, that we don't forget about that. So having this three R's framework to define the targets every time we have a campaign and keeping this always to define our strategy. To me, it's been great to make sure that we are not forgetting about all this important side of the marketing role.
Sounds really interesting, and I like it. I think I will adopt it. Then the three R's. Yeah, it's a
Yes,
framework. Yeah,
yes,
sounds
correct,
great.
correct.
Thank you for your buff.
Yeah,
Another topic that I would love us to dive into is AI. We cannot have a podcast episode without that, right? I mean,
yeah,
everyone is talking about AI. So I would love to know, have you been experimenting a bit with AI in your marketing department?
yeah, yeah. We've been experimenting, and I guess all marketers have been experimenting. And if not, we need everybody needs to be experimenting with AI. Definitely, we now we've been now in a phase in where we have like a more structured experimentation, because at the beginning it was just like a natural thing, each team doing their thing, trying their thing. Now, as a company, we're trying to be more structured on this approach, because if not, it's got, and I've seen this even happening from some colleagues in even smaller companies, in where each team is doing one thing with AI, they are not sharing the learning, so each team is at a different pace. So I think what is important in every company is now to have like a more structured approach for many reasons. There is also like the cybersecurity reasons, etc., but also to make sure that all the AI knowledge, is shared and is leveraged by all the teams. So now we are in this phase of more structured experimentation, and I would say that basically we are experimenting in two main areas, no, as a marketing team. One is the obvious content. So how AI can help us to generate content, leverage content, expand on the content we have. And here there are different tools, some more specific, some more general. So there is like the typical generative AI tools like Jasper, or some tools to create content. But we've been exploring also some specific tools. For example, we are now in the process, for example, of exploring a very cool tool that we discovered some weeks ago called Dito, that helps us to create customer stories or testimonials in an easier way. So we are trying to figure out what more specific content tools, rather than the generic content creation tools, can help us with the specific things, which, by the way, I think this is key in the approach. So the first thing in this more structured approach was to define the problem statement. So what do we actually want to solve? Because you can use AI for hundreds of things, and you can, to your point, so you can spend days and hours. So it's unlimited mostly, So I think the
Yeah.
first step is, okay, what are the actual problems that you have? What are your pain points? And then is AI something that can help you to solve these pain points? And then, okay, what exactly tool or combination of tools can help you with this problem? So that's the approach we are taking. So as I said, so from one side there are the content tools, but then we are, and especially from my side, very interested on learning how AI can help me with the demand gen, ABM, so the marketing motion, no? And putting aside the ABM tools that also have AI components, no, like demand base, Sixth Sense, and all those tools that helps us with audience identification, lead scoring, lead management, and all even automation, orchestration, and all these things. So this is the other area, the ABM demand gen kind of tools. And again, here as well in the process of piloting, testing, and trying to understand what's the best tool or combination of tools, because yeah, you can drawn under hundreds of tools, but the ones that actually can help us to solve the immediate problems and needs.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I know that also clay is now very on trend with they even I think that I've read recently that they term like there's a new term like a go-to-market engineer. So they're talking about a whole different structure, even of like the marketing slash sales
Mm-hmm,
organization, right?
mm-hmm,
Very
mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yep, yep,
So I think that there's a lot of things that are currently going on. I really feel
yeah,
as if we're like in the middle of a revolution and we still don't know exactly where everything goes, but like there are so many possibilities. And for me, I think that it's exciting. But yeah, you need to know also where to put your focus. So I love the way that you phrase it. What problem are you trying to solve? And then to try and find the right kit or tool that will answer that.
yeah. And to your point, so I agree that even there are certain tools. Again, this is not generative AI, but they also have some AI components like demand base, Sixth Sense, and all these ABM tools are also forcing us to work more closely with sales, because at the end, these tools you
100%.
cannot get the value of using these tools if you don't have everybody onboarded on using the tool. If you use just the tool from a marketing team and with the marketing team, you are not going to get the actual value of the tool itself. It needs to be a tool in where you have also the sales team, the SDRs using it on a regular basis. So it's like it becomes more like a company-wide project, and there is
Agree.
an opportunity to be led by marketing, no, and yeah, and impact the whole go-to-market.
I will 100% agree. And thank you very much for mentioning that. I think that being unified, being aligned, and working together as one team or one group, if you ask me, that is the direction that we should all aim to, even though we are experts in our domain.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is my perspective. So, Carlota, we are reaching the end of this episode. Thank you very much for all your contributions so far. I would love to ask you one question before we finalize that. And do you have any advice for any emerging marketing leader? People are just like now developing for IC into marketing leadership. Anything that is very relevant for them to know, especially in this climate and moving
Yep.
into revenue, as we discussed?
Yep. So I would repeat something that I've already mentioned. So get to know your customer. So don't be in your cave reading the market research reports and insights and trying to figure out based on that what's your ICP, your buyer persona, and your customer journey. Go and talk to your customer. The beauty of a B2B is that you can be that close to the customer. You can have the opportunity to go and talk directly to the customers. You have events, but you can also tag along with the field sales rep and go to a customer visit and go there, see, listen to the customer and try to understand who they are and the person behind this company name and this job title, because that's the only way that you can truly understand what moves that customer, and that's the only way that you can bring to the table genuine new opportunities to influence that journey.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Carlota. I
You're
loved
welcome.
having you here and have a great day.
Thank you.